The story of how a father's world falls apart as he battles through many obstacles to ensure a future for him and his son is being brought to the stage next week by talented loud theatre maker, actor and writer Anthony Kinahan. The play is called Unguarded and highlights the vulnerable position many families find themselves in due to the lack of regulation around surrogacy in Ireland. I am so delighted to have my good friend, actor and writer Anthony Kinahan in studio in front of me. It's fantastic.
I know, I haven't been in ages. Thanks for having me, Sinead. I appreciate it.
Great to have you back. Now, I had the pleasure of seeing this play when it was in the development stages just before Christmas last year. I mean, you called it developing stages, like work in progress. To me, it was like the finished work. It was unbelievable. There's a lot to unpack in this. It's very raw, it's very powerful, but there's a lot of comedic kind of elements to this as well. You've kind of jammed a lot in here.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think comedy for me is very important to get in, especially when you're dealing with social issues and issues that can be heavy. My work with contestants before this as well, we do a lot of socially based issues like suicide and the mental health system and foster care system and stuff like that. But it's always important for me to try and get comedy into it as well, because I think if you're bashing people over the head with these big heavy issues relentlessly, people switch off eventually. So you need to give people a chance to vent, and I want to make this piece of art entertaining as well, so that people enjoy watching it, even though it can be dealing with heavy stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is something that's really prevalent at the moment, this whole issue around surrogacy in Ireland. I mean, why did you feel so passionately about bringing it to the stage? And you've done it in such, as I say, powerful way through Unguarded. Yeah.
Oh, thanks a million. Well, first of all, I'd have to say just a big thanks to the Droichead Arts Centre for giving me the opportunity as Artists in Association last year, especially during the lockdown when live theatre and live arts weren't happening. It was just a really I was very grateful to have that opportunity just to go in as myself, as an individual artist rather than as part of a collective, to go in and just kind of, have a think to myself and see what I wanted to tell as an individual, and where my artistic expression was bringing me, and what story I wanted to tell basically. And during that phase I realised, I'm an activist as well, an LGBT activist, and I was involved in the marriage equality campaign and things like that. So I certainly wanted to tell a story that was still relevant, or still needing to be told in that kind of vein. So there's LGBT families and non-LGBT families out there who have families through surrogacy, and they're still not equal in the eyes of the law. The non-biological parent still isn't recognised fully as a parent on the birth cert and things like that, and it's not fair to the kids, of these families when they don't have equal rights to their parents, and it's not fair to the non-biological parents as well to not have the equal rights to their children. So that definitely was a story. I mean, people think, LGBT people, they have all the equality they need now, they've gender recognition and they've marriage equality, and sure, what else would they want? Do you know what I mean? And this is an example of another thing that needs to happen. So I certainly wanted to tell a story around that. And then the whole story of Unguarded, while that was the nugget of the idea, there's a lot of other things going on. There's grief and single parenting and things like that being brought to the fore, as well as comedy and a bit of a laugh and musicals and things like that too.
There's so much going on, and as you rightly say, when you mentioned the grief moment, and there's something that I know that you take obviously from your work with Quintessence, and this is like kind of a trademark I think of this group at this stage, is this wonderful use of choreographed movement. And there's a really powerful scene with you kind of just it's a one-man show, so and it's kind of, I want to say, like people who've experienced the grief of a partner dying, like there's almost like that, like turning over to maybe smell the scent of them in a pillow, or remembering what their hand touch was like, and you portray that so much better, say, than dialogue. I can't even I'm trying to portray it here myself, but it's done through movement.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'm a physical actor. I multi-role a lot in this show. I play at least 5 distinct characters, 2 main ones, but 5 distinct characters anyway. And that moment that you're talking about, sometimes words aren't enough to express these kind of things. And obviously we do that a lot with Quintessence, as you said, but a moment like that where you wake up from a dream and you think it's still real, and you look beside you and they're not there. I mean, that's one of the most harrowing moments a person can kind of go through, I think. So, movement is a great way to express that, and there's other movement sequences that you haven't seen yet in the show as well. So, again, it's just using all the tools at my disposal to tell that story in the best way I can, I think. Yeah, so movement, dialogue, multi-rolling.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's multi-rolling, and as you say, it centres really on Stephen and Tig. So Stephen is the main sort of guy, main focus of this. Tig is his young son. Tell us the story, tell us the plot.
Yeah, so basically Stephen, not to give too many spoilers away, but Stephen's recently just lost his partner. His partner has died, his husband has died, and so Stephen is abruptly left as a single parent to Tig, who is a very unique child, and Tig's obsessed about musicals, so that's the way he experiences the world, and that's the prism through he sees everything. So it's basically the story about Stephen trying to parent the Tig while also going through the grief, and then the bombshell of the biological grandparents wanting to make a custody claim on Tig as well. So not only is he dealing with grief and single parenting and getting back to work and piecing his life back together after that loss, but also now he has this extra legal battle on top of everything else. No doubt
something that could come up for people in any situation in terms of surrogacy, absolutely. And you worked very much with Outlaw Network, who I'm only discovering this morning to my shame, the wonderful work that they're doing for the LGBTQ community in terms of legal stuff. That was obviously important to get things as accurate as you possibly could.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with any of my shows and contestant shows, if we're going to do something like this in a social issue, we do spend a lot of time in research and development. And while the stories that we present may not be verbatim most of the time, they would be interpretations of real events. So for sure, I wanted to make sure that the situation and the circumstances I was presenting in this story could actually happen for sure. I don't feel like I'm misrepresenting any information just for the sake of drama anyway. So yeah, that's a situation that could happen. And Maeve was great, Maeve Delargy. I'm in part of the Outcomers Droichead group here, the LGBT support group in Droichead, and we had Maeve on board to do an LGBT parenting seminar. She's an LGBT parent herself and a lawyer. Last year, and so she was great. She just, has a handle on all this kind of stuff, and she was able to explain to me the difference between guardianship rights and parenting rights, and about how the loopholes in the laws and the grey areas which these families exist in. She was able to explain that to me and make it clear to me so that I was able to represent it in the right way. Yeah. It was herself in as well. It was Renee von Melding, who's also the CEO of Equality for Children, which is a lobbying group for LGBT families who aren't fully legal in the eyes of the law, or aren't fully equal in the eyes of the law yet as well. Yeah, so both of them, both Maeve and Renee were great for helping me, make sure I was getting the facts right, basically. Yeah. Okay, so in terms of then becoming childlike, which is what Tig, as you said, Tig is really, really unique. He strikes me that he's kind of, I don't know if he's in the age bracket of about, say, from about 5 to 8, or if your baby maybe he's a bit older, but you're portraying him like that. More might be revealed with regards to that. But talk to me about him and finding Tig, because you very much, it's like, I'm just fascinated by this, because one minute you're Stephen and you're in all of this, and then the next you're this Tig who's just, so carefree and mad. Yeah, I mean, look, as I say, I'm a physical actor, and that's the kind of work that I like doing. It's about finding the character in your body first before it comes into your voice or anything like that, and there's a lot of work that goes along with it. Thankfully, my director Anna Simpson, who's also the director of Quintessence as well, we have a shorthand, we've a common language that we speak in, and Anna was able to help me research the characteristics of both of those to make it very clear, so that Stephen and Tig have a couple of scenes where they've dialogue in them, do you know? So you're literally you feel it's likely like that you've got multiple personality disorder or something like that, so that you're literally having a conversation with yourself. But it's about, I suppose, inhabiting the energy and knowing the shorthands, knowing the formula of each character, and what the physical I suppose foundation of each one is, so that you can click between the two.
Because it's completely seamless.
Yeah.
Now you have got a little monologue that you're going to prepare for us.
Yeah.
So when you're in your own time, just give people a taster of what's in store on the 6th and 7th of October in Droichead Arts Centre with Unguarded. In your own time, off you go.
Thanks. So this is from monologue from Táin at the start of the show. So on Christmas night, when I'm going to bed, I think, wow, it'll be 525,600 minutes until next Christmas. And then I feel sad because it's over. But you remind me that it's okay. You remind me just to enjoy the now and not to live in the future, which is mad. How can I live in the future? I'm not a time traveller. I don't have a time machine. I'm not like Marty McFly. Did you know that they made a musical about Back to the Future? Written by Sylvester Ballard, Zemeckis and Gale, premiered in 2020. Oh, I can't wait to see it. Someday. I wish I had a time machine. I could fix everything. Make everything right again. I can't wait to start back at school. Did I tell you? I told you, didn't I? We're doing a musical and I'm going to audition for it. It's Oliver, written by Lionel Bart, premiered in 1960. Oh, I can't wait. I want to be Artful Dodger. Or Oliver. But probably Artful Dodger. He's cooler, I think. Dad says to stop talking about it. He says I'm talking too much about it. But I don't think I am. Because I don't talk about it all the time. I think about it. Because I think about it a lot. But I keep it to myself some of those times. I'm probably going to sing Consider Yourself for the audition. Or Where Is Love? I haven't decided yet. I'll probably practice both. Dad says not to get my hopes up. But it's okay. My hopes are up just the right amount, I think. Because I'm a good singer, aren't I? You always say so. You always say I'm your little songbird, don't you? Don't you? Oh, I can't wait.
Amazing. What do you hope people will take from it? What's the main thing that you want people to take away from this?
Yeah, I suppose a real life story of what could happen in these kind of situations to families who are left unprotected in the eyes of the law, and maybe a bit of an awareness of, well, first of all, not all LGBT people have the equality that maybe people think they have, and that both LGBT and non-LGBT families exist in this grey space in the law, and that there's a working group working on the moment on a report for assisted human reproduction and all the rest, and there is a lot of progress happening, but maybe it's not happening fast enough, and maybe we should be putting a bit of pressure onto this issue to make it get resolved and get these children and these parents equal in the eyes of the law, give them the protection they need.
Absolutely, and no better way to hit that point home than through the arts. Anthony, I wish you the very best of luck with this. I've no doubt that it's going to be amazing. I know that you are shortlisted as well for the Vault Festival in London. Very exciting for next year, so fingers crossed for all of that, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks a million.
Unguarded, Anthony Kinahan, he's going to perform it in Droichead Arts Centre the 6th and 7th of October. Details droichead.com.